Hey guys, welcome back and ting and ting and ting. And someone suggested, and I don't remember who it was. I should have written it down like I wrote down the other one. I'm gonna start doing it. If you suggest a video, you get a shout out. But they suggested that I looked at ancient religions in Romania, and I hope I pronounced this right. Zamolxis, Zamolxis, the Supreme God of the Dacians. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this and see what that ancient Supreme God of the Dacians were like. Let's YouTube and simmer.
Zamolxis, the Supreme God of Dacians. Zamolxis is a figure from ancient Thracian mythology, part of modern-day Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey. Zamolxis is often described as a deity or a divine hero in Thracian mythology. He was believed to possess immense wisdom and power, and he was revered as a god of the afterlife and the underworld. According to ancient Greek Herodotus, Zamolxis was a priest or advisor to the Thracian king, and he played a crucial role in shaping Thracian religious beliefs. However, it is believed that the Thracians worshipped him as a deity associated with life, death, and the spiritual realm. They likely believed in an afterlife and saw Zamolxis as the guardian or ruler of the underworld, where souls would journey after death. The Greek historian Herodotus provided one of the most detailed accounts of Zamolxis. According to Herodotus, Zamolxis was once a slave in Greece, but eventually returned to Thrace with great knowledge and divine teachings. He built an underground sanctuary where he withdrew for 3 years to commune with the gods and gain wisdom. During this time, he was thought to have died and descended into the underworld before returning to life, which further solidified his divine status among the Thracians. Zamolxis was worshipped through rituals and ceremonies, including
Died and returned. That kind of sounds a little bit like Jesus Christ died and returned. I'm not saying it's the same thing now. Please don't get offended. I'm just saying it sounds like a similar sort of storyline as far as that is concerned. And a lot of these beliefs and stuff doesn't stray too far from each other. In a way, you could tell that it came from the same region. Now, I wonder, but then again, if you come over here and you look at Native American religion, even though a lot of it is like earth-based, the wind and stars, but then again, it's the same thing, the God of the sun, God of the rain, God of the moon, God of the ocean. So it's all sort of tied into each other. You know what I mean? We have strayed a lot from spirituality and nature a lot. We have absolutely, well, at least where I am here. Yeah, where I am here now, it's like it's God and money. You know what I'm saying? It's God and money. Let's just destroy everything on this earth because God gave domain to man over everything, and it's okay to destroy the trees, cut it down, do this and do that. Whereas a lot of the ancient religions, you find that they want to preserve stuff like that. You know what I mean? But there's always like an underworld, or a heavenly realm in almost every religion, be it ancient or modern.
offerings and sacrifices. Some sources suggest that the Thracians believed in a cyclical view of time and saw Zamolxis as a figure who controlled the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Strabo said that Zamolxis had been a slave at Pythagoras, but had traveled a lot even to Egypt, also to learn. Returning home in Thrace, he first became the high priest of the king, and only then retired to a cave on top of a mountain, the people considering him a god. Here appears the first concrete indication of Zamolxis Koginon's mountain. This is the only concrete clue to find out where the holy mountain of the Dacians is located. Strabon also tells about the wisdom and habits of Zamolxis, that he knew astronomy, knew numbers well, and taught his disciples to live in a great moderation and without eating animal meat. Zamolxis considered the supreme deity.
That's another thing I noticed with a lot of religions do. Not eating animal meat. A lot. I mean, like most people eat meat now, but like even the Rastafarian movement, a lot of Rastafarians, certain sects of the Rastafarian don't eat any meat whatsoever. You know what I mean? Especially pork.
Deity of the Dacians was one of the fabulous characters of antiquity. God of the Dacians, or great sage, prophet, or slave, numerous controversies were created around his name. So let's find out, step by step, about Zamolxis. The Dacians believed themselves to be immortal, thanks to their god Zamolxis, stated Herodotus in Histories, almost 2.5 millennia ago. He taught them that neither he, nor his guests, nor their descendants would ever die, but would only move to a place where, living forever, they would have all the good things, wrote Herodotus. Belief in Zamolxis made the Dacians the only people who dared to face the powerful Persian army of King Darius. However, the Getae, who had taken the reckless decision, were enslaved at once, even though they are the bravest and most righteous of the Thracians, wrote Herodotus. The historian Herodotus told about the custom of the Dacians to sacrifice people, sending them as messengers to the god Zamolxis. The sending of the soil is done in this way. Some of them, sitting in a row, hold 3 spears with the tip up, and others, seizing the one sent to Zamolxis by the hands and feet, bind him several times, and then, making wind of it, he threw it up over the tips of the spears. If in the fall the man dies pierced, they remain convinced that the god is benevolent to them. If he does not die, then they blame him on the ground, blaspheming him as a bad man.
Wow.
After blaming him, they send another. Everything they have to ask they tell the soil while it is still alive, wrote Herodotus in Histories. The Getae, a barbarian race that also tasted philosophy, choose the soil every year to send to the demigod Zamolxis. Therefore, the one considered the most worthy among those who engage in philosophy is dead. Those who are not chosen grieve bitterly, saying that they were deprived of a happy occasion, recounted the ancient historical Clement of Alexandria. According to Herodotus, the one who would be called the god of the Dacians was a disciple of the wise Pythagoras, an important figure of Greek antiquity. Other historians related that Zamolxis was a slave of Pythagoras, living in Greece and then returning to Thrace. It is said that a Geta named Zamolxis was the slave of Pythagoras and he learned some astronomical knowledge from him. And another part he learned from the Egyptians because his wanderings would have taken him there, affirmed Strabon, another great historian of antiquity. The ancient historian Herodotus wrote about the fact that Zamolxis had a hall built for him where the leading citizens of the Dacian tribes were entertained. All these banquets, people were instructed by the sage Zamolxis, as one who had lived among the Hellenes, and especially with the wisest man of Hellas, near Pythagoras. He had a reception hall built for him where he hosted and feasted the leading citizens. During the feasts, he taught there neither he nor his guests nor their descendants will ever die, but will only move to a place where, living forever, they will have all the good things, informed Herodotus. Another history of Herodotus presented his long disappearance underground. He had an underground house built for him. When his dwelling was ready, he disappeared from among the Thracians, descending into the depths of the subterranean chambers, where he did for 3 years. The Thracians felt sorry for him and mourned him as if he were dead. In the 4th year, however, he appeared again in front of the Thracians, and thus Zamolxis made them believe all his words. This is what they say he would have done, stated Herodotus. Herodotus was one of the ancient historians who provided the most information about Zamolxis. He was not convinced that he was a god, but neither did he say that he was a mere man. As for me, I neither doubt nor fully believe what is said about him and the subterranean dwelling. Moreover, I consider that this Zamolxis lived a long time before Pythagoras. Wherever Zamolxis was only a man, or wherever he was some god from the part of Getia, I leave it said that, recounts Herodotus. Strabon, who lived before Jesus, an important historian of the ancient world, wrote that Zamolxis was loved by the Dacian people for his power to see into the future. Returning to him in the country, he would have enjoyed great favor with the leaders and the people because, based on the heavenly signs, he made prophecies. In the end, he convinced the king to make him a sharer in the reign, telling him that he was able to announce the will of the gods to him, wrote Strabon in Geography. Jordanes, a Gothic historian who lived in the 4th century.
It seems also that back in ancient times, there was a lot of people who were deemed prophets, who prophesied about what would happen. You hear about all these people. You know what I mean? This is the first time I've heard of this person here. And I wonder if somebody read about him and probably somehow got through historical avenues, figure out what his prophecies were, and then try to relate them to our times and what's happening here and now in our times. That would be crazy if somebody was to do that.
Told about Zamolxis that he was king of the Dacians, philosopher and scholar. In their second place, Dacia, Thrace, and Moesia, the Getae had as their king Zamolxis, who most of the writers of the annals tells us about philosopher with an admirable erudition, wrote Jordanes in Getica. How Zamolxis became a god? Strabon recounted the rise of Zamolxis due to his wisdom and his relations with the Dacian chieftains. In the beginning, he was elected high priest of their most revered god, and after a while, he was considered a god himself. And after that, he also received the name of God, Strabon pointed out. Where did Zamolxis live? The same Strabon claimed that Zamolxis had his abode in a cave, inaccessible to ordinary people. He had a secluded way of life, like a monk. He spent his life in a cave, which he occupied and where others could not enter. He rarely met outsiders, except for the king and his servants. The king worked in agreement with him because he saw that the people had become much more obedient than before, because his subjects believed that he was giving orders on the advice of the gods, wrote Strabon. They are
Wow.
fully convinced that they are the pure descendants of the old masters of the world. The cave where Zamolxis lived was on Mount Kogaionon, according to the ancient historian Strabo. Some researchers claim that the Holy Mountain, as it was considered by the Dacians, can be identified with Mountain Godan, while other researchers supporting the theory that it is Gugu Peak. The mountain where the cave was located was considered holy, and it was called this. It was called Kogaionon, and so was the name of the river that flowed by it, recounted Strabon in Geography.
It's crazy, man, how these beliefs and stuff die out over time, you know? Is it modernization that creates it? We get so technologically advanced, it's a lot harder to believe in gods because we are accomplishing so much. And then that's how people lose spirituality. And to a certain extent, when you lose a sort of spirituality, you also lose your humanity. You could say that for, you know what I mean, the ancient religions that held nature in such high esteem. That has changed, you know what I mean? So a lot of us hold nature in high esteem, but a lot of us see nature as something to be exploited. The trees, this, you know, the oceans and stuff like that. And with technology, that's happening even more and more because we are transcending into we could use this for profit instead of saying this is something that's keeping us sustained. So let us nurture it and take care of it and stuff like that. Ancient religions like these ones here, you know what I mean? Now, if you'll notice, the way she presented it, there was a little bit of politicking going on there because, you know, he was a confidant of the king, and the king is using him because the king see that the people can become more obedient if they think he's getting advice from someone who was close to a god or who is considered a god himself. But is that an exploitation of spiritual beliefs? I guess it just depends on what people consider to be spiritual. Let's get back to this here.
A holy mountain of the Romanians still exists today. It is about the Bucegi Mountains that have mysterious parts like caves where nobody can enter because of a kind of very strong energy that comes from inside. It is about the Bucegi Mountains that have mysterious parts like caves where nobody can enter because of a kind of a very strong energy that comes from inside. But we will talk about this mystery in another episode of God's Meeting. The disciples of Zamolxis learned charms from him, claimed the Greek philosopher Plato in his work Charmide. Plato told about the god of the Dacians that he had the power to make people immortal and to heal them. This Thracian said that the Greek doctors were very right to make the observations I spoke of, but he added, Zamolxis, our king, who is a god, says that just as we cannot try to heal the eyes without taking care of the head, or the head without the body, so it is impossible to try to heal the body without seeing of the soul, and that precisely because of this, there are many diseases that the Greek doctors are not good at, because they do not know the whole they should take care of, wrote Plato in Charmide. Where does the name Zamolxis come from? Another Greek historian, Porphyr, related about Zamolxis that he was a disciple of Pythagoras, and his name was given to him because he was wrapped in a bear's fur at birth, called Zalmos by the Thracians. Other researchers deduced, based on the etymology of the word Zamolxis, that he was a bear god. or a Ged god sitting among the sleeping bears. The writer Michaeliade claimed that the name of the Dacian god came from the Phrygian Zalmos, which meant wolf, which justifies the Dacians' wolf's existence these days. Iamblicus, a Greek historian, related that Zamolxis was a Thracian in the service of Pythagoras. Back in the lands of Dacia, he taught people to be brave in the face of death, convincing them that their souls are immortal. Because he educated the Getae in this way and gave them written laws, Zamolxis is considered by them to be the greatest of the gods, wrote Iamblicus in his work The Life of Pythagoras. Some ancient authors saw Zamolxis as a reformer who bequeathed to the Dacian people a system of laws and moral norms. Gebeleizis was the Dacian god of lightning and thunder, historians claim, but he was confused with Zamolxis, the supreme god. When there is thunder and lightning, the Getae shoot arrows at the sky and threaten the god, because they believe that there is no other god up there than theirs, Herodotus recounted. Some of the Romanian historians argued that Zamolxis and Gebeleizis were one and the same god. Helancios from Mytilene reported in his work Barbarian Customs that Zamolxis was a Greek who showed the Getae in Thrace the rite of religious initiation. He told them that neither he nor those in his company would die, but they would have a share of all the goods, recounted the ancient historian. One of the prohibitions that the Dacians would have received due to the cult for Zamolxis was to refrain from eating hunted animals. Strabon also says that by order of Zamolxis, the Getae abstained for meat, a custom that was preserved until the time of King Burebista. Another hypothesis mentioned by historians about Zamolxis was that of a mediator between a deity and the Geto-Dacian people. Zamolxis claimed that the laws were given to him by Hestia, their deity, affirmed the historian Diodorus of Sicily. Thus, Zamolxis entered the category of the great prophet Zarathustra among the Aryans and Moses among the Jews. One of the legends about the Dacian deity comes from Polovraj, the area of the Părânc Mountains where the Polovraj cave is located. It is said that Zamolxis lived there, and in the same cave, the healers used a rare plant called povraga, polvraga, or polovraga as a remedy against diseases. The legend of Zamolxis was also reproduced by the writer Alexandru Vlahuță in picturesque Romania. He was described as a protective god who urged the Dacian people to fight for defense against the invaders. And the drops that trickle and drip even today from these rocks are his tears, which lamented that fate of the Dacian people conquered by the Romans. Herodotus called the Dacogetae the bravest and the most righteous of the Thracians. On the other hand, the Latin poet Ovidius was merciless towards the natives of the shores of the Black Sea, among whom he had been exiled. He called them savages. A series of historical testimonies outlines the portrait of our ancestors from antiquity. Almost 200 words from the Romanian language have their origin in the language spoken by the Dacians, according to most of the scientists who have dedicated themselves to the study of archaic languages. The Dacians did not use writing, is another conclusion reached by the established linguists. But most of the theories regarding language or writing in ancient times have been controversial. The most valuable pieces of treasure discovered in Sarmisegetusa Regia are the massive gold bracelets from the time of the Dacians, richly decorated. The unique objects tell the story of the mastery with which the Dacians processed metals, say historians. Over time, Many other treasures of jewelry that belonged to the ancient inhabitants of the Carpathians lands were lost forever.
That was quite interesting. I enjoyed that very much. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool to watch all these ancient religions and stuff, and and learn about them and realize the similarities and beliefs and all of that. This one specifically, though, seemed to be based on like a real person per se, which Jesus was sort of based on a real person, of course. And only this one, they mentioned he had deities that he would, how should I put it, get information from, for lack of a better term, you know what I mean? These days, a lot of people, it seems like a lot of Christians that I'm around here don't really see the difference between Jesus and a God, you know what I mean? I think they say, oh, God in three persons is one of the things that we used to sing in church all the time back home, and I think no, it's with the type of Protestantism here, it's just merged into God, period. But that was quite interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed watching that with me. Comment down below and tell me more of, if you know. We have historians on here. I know I have some historians on the subscriber list, Comment down below. Let's get a little dialogue going about that kind of stuff. And I'll leave a link in the description. I'll leave a link in the description for this video, but I'll also leave links to other Romanian videos that I've reacted to. I hope you guys are having a great day, man, and you all take care of each other, all right? Cool runnings.